Hi, I just wanted to talk very briefly about my trip to Washington, D.C. I was able to go to Washington on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, primarily to see President Trump speak to the annual March for Life. And first of all, I just wanted to say how inspiring an event this is for those who may be unaware of it or have never attended. It's not widely known in the culture because our media has had a near blackout on it for its entire history. It's gone on for 47 years. They used to gather on the Ellipse close to the White House every year, and then in more recent years on the Mall closer to the Washington Monument, and then would walk down Constitution Avenue around the U.S. Capitol to the Supreme Court. It's astounding how many people are there every year, and yet it gets barely any coverage. It is as well attended as almost any march in U.S. history, and it is the most well attended march when you look at this being an annual affair and one that occurs in the cold of January. Every year between 500,000 and a million people come, primarily from the eastern United States, but from across the country. Bus after bus after bus of school kids, college kids, church groups. It's a moving event to be a part of. It's just the nature of any crowd that size that is of one mind about an issue, but more broadly about the direction of our country. This is a very Christian, very pro-family, very pro-Republican, obviously very pro-life crowd, and it can be just very inspiring to be around such people. The chants, the songs, there's an infectiousness, particularly because of the youthful nature of the crowd. I don't think I ever attend things that have so many high school students and college students. I mean, I really felt like an old man. I'm 49 years old, and I was in definitely in the upper half, if not the upper 10% of people there. Anyway, it's inspiring, and it does give one a shot in the arm, and something I have not attended often enough, but really was proud to be there. And hearing the president in that setting was all the more inspiring. He's the first president to come in person. I did attend this in the 80s and heard Ronald Reagan speak over a phone connection, which was nice. But not only was this more personal with President Trump's actual personal presence, but even the words themselves were bold, were extraordinarily bold. I guess that's the nature of our president. And the crowd itself is very, very pro-Trump. Lots and lots of signs about most pro-life president ever. Lots of people wearing Make America Great Again hats. Though I own one already, I hadn't brought it with me, and I felt almost obligated to get one from a street vendor there just as it began. Anyway, that's the first thought, is just that inspiring nature of it. There's two other things I wanted to share, because while I was there, of course, it's Washington, D.C., political center of our country, and I had the chance to interact not only with Valor America partners, but also other political people that I know and like. A lot of Republican leaders and even some pro-life leaders, most of whom I would count as personal friends. And there's there's sort of typical concerns for me. I've written about these things before, but here you are. Just this is my reaction coming out of that. The first one is, it remains disappointing how many of the Republican leaders who we have to count on to guide us through this election season, like it or not, we have a Republican Party. We have consultants and organizations that have to engage. They have to fight the left. They have to fight the Democrats. And yet, so many of those people remain what I would call they're supportive of the president, but their support is qualified. There's a lot of buts and in spite ofs in there, and you really get the sense in some cases that they're terribly nervous that someone is going to dislike them for their passion for President Trump. Often in these gatherings, I get made fun of for being. Someone will say, "Oh, this person's even more pro-Trump than Joe Arlinghaus," and someone else will invariably say, "No, that's not possible." I'm proud of that. I don't consider myself a knee-jerk blind supporter of anything and anyone, but I have long understood the importance of being on a team. and your coach does not think well of you for being a half-hearted supporter of the quarterback, a half-hearted supporter of the team. Part of being on a team is full-throated support. So it does concern me still to hear some of that qualified support. It's nothing like 2015 and 2016, where it was the half-hearted people were the ones on President Trump's side. There were endless people who hated him. There's less of the hatred there. But the second thing is the big issue of Valor America, which is the nature of how we engage in the election. So many efforts on the right, sadly, are going to spend giant sums of money on something that I think is not worthless, but far from the most worthwhile thing we can do, which is get out the vote. They're going to try and increase the Republican electorate. Their goal is to grow more of the people who already support the president, that already support Republicans, to get out to vote. The mistake of this is it's a presidential election year. And anyone who knows the science of elections knows Republican turnout in a presidential election is high, very high, so high as to be almost impossible to grow. We just don't have people staying at home. And so spending money on efforts that are preaching to the choir, if you will, are not going to win us this election. The left knows this, and the left are masters of the other kind of election effort, which is what we call persuasion. It's going into your enemy's home field and winning over some of his fans. That's what Valor America does. You know that. I pontificate on it often. But sadly, I heard not one effort on the right, not one pro-life effort, not any where I really felt like they have a sense of how to identify the voters on the left and market to them effectively. Of course, that's why we exist, and I hope your support will stay strong, because we can do a lot and will do a lot. God willing, we can grow our support sufficiently to do much, much more than we've ever done before. But thank you for your support, and thank you for listening to this little video and reading this email. I hope the photos we've included are worth your while. Now I get to go listen to the president's lawyers talk for several hours in the impeachment proceedings today. Something that's going to be in the background of my work today, listening as I do other things. God bless you, and thank you so much for caring about what we do.